Let me ask you something powerful right now. How do you respond when the world turns against you? When your name becomes a headline, not for your success, but for your failures? Do you collapse? Or do you rise? In a world saturated with judgment, with YouTube thumbnails screaming, EXP, OSED and Twitter trends fueled by outrage, we have a choice to make, every single one of us. Are we defined by the worst thing we've ever done, or by how we choose to grow from it? Today, I want to talk about three figures who have lived through public firestorms: Kanye West, MrBeast, and Dobrik. But this is not about them being right or wrong. This is about what we can learn when life puts you in the hot seat. Because here's the truth. Behind every controversy lies a catalyst. And behind every fall an invitation to rise. Let's start with a name that instantly sparks emotion: Kanye West. Now, say what you will about Ye, but you cannot deny the man's impact on culture, fashion, and music. Yet his recent release of a song titled Heil Hitler, which, yes, was quickly removed from major platforms, thrust him into one of the darkest storms of his career. Accusations of anti-Semitist, media condemnation, and global backlash followed like a tidal wave. But here's the lesson if we zoom out and see the human inside the headline. Kanye is an example of what happens when genius goes ungrounded. When brilliance is not balanced by emotional intelligence. You can be the most talented person in the room, but if you lose touch with how your actions affect others, if you let ego replace empathy, you will lose the very audience that once adored you. Self-awareness is not a nice-to-have, it's a must-have. We often admire Kanye's innovation, but forget that personal growth means knowing where you end and others begin. It's about understanding the ripple effect of your words and choices. And here's the truth. You don't have to be famous to face this. Maybe you said something at work that offended someone. Maybe a post you made blew up and you didn't expect the backlash. That's your moment to pause, reflect, and adjust. Because transformation begins the moment we stop defending our pain and start learning from it. Now shift gears with me to someone who represents the opposite energy. Calm, kindness, and generosity at scale. I'm talking about MrBeast Jimmy Donaldson. A man who has used his platform to cure blindness, plant trees, and give away millions. But even he, in his pursuit of viral goodness, has faced controversy. Allegations emerged about a toxic workplace environment, former employees speaking out about being mistreated. Lawsuits followed. And suddenly, MrBeast wasn't just a hero, he was being scrutinized under a different lens. Now here's what I want you to understand: success does not exempt you from accountability. It amplifies your responsibility. The bigger your platform, the more critical it becomes that your actions behind closed doors match your image in public. MrBeast's story teaches us that even when your heart is in the right place, leadership requires listening. It requires humility. The mistake so many leaders make, whether you're running a YouTube empire or a small business, is thinking that good intentions are enough. But people don't follow intentions. They follow behavior. So if you're building something right now, maybe a brand, a movement, a career, ask yourself, am I creating a culture that lifts others? Am I truly walking the talk? Because when the spotlight hits, it doesn't just highlight your best moments. It exposes the whole truth. We're living in a time where reputations can rise or fall overnight. And no one knows that more intimately than Dobrik, a YouTube star who once defined the creator economy. David hit rock bottom when allegations surfaced about members of his vlog squad, including behavior that crossed lines, both ethical and legal. Sponsors dropped him. Fans turned away. And suddenly, the man who made millions laugh was facing the reality of silence. But here's what makes David's journey interesting. He stepped back. He disappeared for a while. And then, after almost 2 years, he reemerged not with a flashy video, but with a quiet attempt at rebuilding. Some accepted it. Others didn't, but that's not the point. The point is, he chose to begin again. Redemption is a road paved with humility, not entitlement, not PR campaigns. Real change takes time. And the people in your life, your followers, your family, your clients, they don't want perfection. They want progress. They want to see the human being who made a mistake, owned it, and committed to doing better. That's the takeaway from David's story. If you've ever messed up, and let's be honest, who hasn't? You know the fear of facing the consequences. But let me tell you something real and raw. The greatest power you will ever claim is the power to take responsibility. Not to blame, not to deny, but to say, that was me. And I'm learning. You see, what Kanye, MrBeast, and David Dobrik all remind us is this: controversy is not the end of the story, it's a turning point. And in this age of cancel culture, where judgment comes fast and forgiveness comes slow, we have to remember that everyone is more than the worst thing they've ever done. You are not your mistake, but you are responsible for your response. You can either let shame define you or let growth transform you. We're not here to throw stones. We're here to build bridges between who we were and who we're becoming. You've got your own version of controversy. Maybe it's not global. Maybe it's local. Maybe it's the way your family judged your choices, or how your friends walked away when you fell. Maybe it's the job you lost, the relationship that broke, the moment you didn't show up as your best self. Whatever it is, you have a choice to make. Will you carry it like a curse, or wear it like armor forged by fire, unbreakable and wise? This is where real transformation begins, not in pretending everything is fine, but in facing the mess, owning the story, and rewriting the ending. Because listen to me closely, you are not broken. You are becoming. And becoming requires friction, conflict, pressure. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in chaos. And that's what controversy truly is. It's chaos calling you to become more conscious. So, let me ask you again. Directly, what do you do after the storm? When the critics have had their say, the spotlight has dimmed, and it's just you alone with your thoughts, because controversy may come suddenly, but healing, growth, reinvention, that's a choice you make every single day long after the noise has faded. You see, most people wait for the world to forgive them before they start moving again. But the truth is, the world doesn't owe you that. You've got to give yourself permission to grow, to evolve, to lead with your scars, not hide behind them. And that's the real difference between those who fall and stay down, and those who rise again stronger than ever. Let's go even deeper. Controversy, by nature, forces clarity. It shows you who you are when everything is stripped away. When the applause turns into silence. When the brand deals vanish. When your circle shrinks, that's when your identity is tested. You learn who your real friends are. You learn what you really believe. You learn what your values are when you're no longer trying to impress anybody. Think about it. David Dobrik learned that fame without accountability is fragile. MrBeast learned that generosity must be matched by culture. And Kanye West, he's still learning that talent without self-awareness can destroy connection. But don't miss this. It's in that testing ground, that crucible, where true leaders are forged. Because here's what the world won't tell you. Failure can be a blessing. Controversy can be a wake-up call. And criticism, if you allow it, can sharpen you into the person you were always meant to be. But it requires one thing: radical responsibility. Stop pointing fingers. Stop defending bad behavior. Stop trying to control how others see you. Control who you become instead. And that's where your real power is. Not in avoiding mistakes, but in owning them fully, and then outgrowing them. That's how you win. Not in the court of public opinion, but in the battlefield of your own character. Now let me talk to the creators out there. The entrepreneurs. The dreamers. You who are building something real in a world that often rewards the fake. You have to understand this: your platform is a privilege, not a pass. You don't get to say, "I didn't know" forever. You don't get to hide behind your good deeds and ignore the culture you're creating. Leadership means looking at every aspect of your life, public and private, and asking, am I being the person I'd admire? Am I showing up in integrity, even when no one's watching? Because trust me, someone's always watching. Your audience. Your family. Most importantly, your own soul. And let's not forget the personal level. You may not be trending on YouTube, but maybe you're going through your own controversy right now. Maybe your marriage is falling apart. Maybe your business just crashed. Maybe you're facing judgment from your community. Or you're being whispered about behind your back, and it hurts. I get it. It feels like your whole identity is under attack. But let me tell you something with absolute certainty. This moment doesn't define you unless you allow it to. You're still the author of your story. You're still the architect of what happens next. You are not a victim unless you choose to be one. You have power in this moment right now to pivot, to heal, and to rise. Let me give you a real-world example from outside the YouTube world. Look at someone like Robert Downey Jr., once the poster boy for scandal, addiction, and courtroom drama. People wrote him off. They said he was dumb, unreliable, a disaster. But he didn't stay there. He did the work. He took the hits. He went through the programs. He built his life back brick by brick. And today, he's one of the highest paid actors in the world. Beloved by millions not because he's perfect, but because he proved it's never too late to change. That is redemption. That is resilience. That is power. So when I say controversy is a test, what I mean is this: it's an invitation. An invitation to rise, to reassess, to rebuild. And it's hard. You're going to lose people. You're going to face backlash. You're going to have to sit in rooms where you're no longer celebrated, but scrutinized. And that's where your ego will scream, run. But your spirit must whisper, stay, learn, grow. Because if you walk through the fire instead of running from it, you will come out the other side not just better but unshakable. Now let me give you some practical steps. Because motivation without action is just noise. First, own everything. No more ifs and buts. No more hiding behind excuses. Say it straight. Say, this is what I did. This is what I learned. This is how I'm changing. That takes courage. Second, listen to the people you've hurt, not to defend yourself, but to understand. Because empathy isn't weakness. It's wisdom. Third, build systems of accountability. Find mentors, friends, or coaches who will tell you the truth even when it's uncomfortable. You don't need more fans, you need real feedback. self-worth. And this one's to use your platform for healing, not for rebranding, but for real, vulnerable service. Share your lessons. Talk about your journey. Be a lighthouse for others who are going through. That's how you turn pain into power. That's how you build something that lasts. Not just success, but significance. Not just influence, but impact. And finally, be patient. Redemption is not a sprint. It's a long-distance race. You will stumble. People will doubt you. And some wounds take time to heal. But if you stay consistent, if you stay humble, you will rebuild. You will rise. And when you do, your story won't just be about controversy. It will be about comeback. It will be about courage. It will be about the unbreakable spirit inside of you that refused to quit, even when the world tried to silence you. Let's bring this home. We've talked about controversy. We've talked about being canceled, criticized, called out, and broken down. But now, let me talk to you about legacy. Because at the end of the day, what matters is not just how you survived the storm, but who you became because of it. The greatest stories in human history aren't the ones with smooth rides and perfect reputations. They're the ones about redemption, about rising from ashes, about choosing growth when destruction was the easier option. You look at YouTubers like Logan Paul. Was he controversial? Absolutely. He made a mistake that sent shockwaves across the platform. But what did he do next? He didn't disappear. He didn't just apologize and move on. He rebuilt brick by brick. He rebranded not with fluff, but with intention. He started creating content that was more mindful, more engaging, more mature. He faced the storm and grew from it. And whether you love him or hate him, you can't deny he came back stronger. That's the key. You can't erase the past, but you can evolve beyond it. Look, controversy will test your identity. It will shake the foundations of who you think you are. But that's not a bad thing. That's necessary. It forces you to ask the questions you've been avoiding. What do I stand for? Who am I without the praise? What kind of impact do I want to leave behind? Those are the questions that carve out the real you, the version that can't be canceled because it's built on truth, not trends. Let me give you something real. People don't want perfection. They want authenticity. They want to see your flaws. They want to see you fall. Yes, but more than that, they want to see if you get back up. Because if you rise, you give them permission to rise too. That's leadership. That's influence. That's purpose. And if you're watching this right now, thinking, but I've messed up too badly, I want you to hear me clearly. You are not disqualified. Not because of your past. Not because of your mistakes. Not even because of the worst thing you've done. You are only disqualified if you stop growing. The second you take ownership, the moment you start moving forward with integrity and vision, you become unstoppable. Now let's talk about rebuilding your inner world. Because if you're going to rise from a controversy, you need more than strategy, you need strength of character. That means doing the deep work. Going to therapy, reading the books, sitting in silence, learning to lead yourself before you try to lead anyone else. Because if your foundation isn't strong, all the fame, followers, and fortune in the world will collapse under pressure. Remember, success without self-awareness is a ticking time bomb. You want real influence? Then you've got to earn it every day. Not by being liked, but by being aligned. Aligned with your values. Aligned with your truth. aligned with the higher version of yourself you're fighting to become. Because that's what separates a trend from a legacy, a phase from a force, a viral moment from a life of impact. Now, I want to speak to your soul for a second. Maybe no one's told you this lately, but you matter. Your voice matters. Your journey matters. And yes, your pain matters. It's not for nothing. It's not wasted. If you use it, if you alchemize it, if you turn it into wisdom, it can be the most powerful tool in your toolbox. You don't need to run from your past. You need to redeem it. Turn it into fuel. Turn it into purpose. Because listen, the comeback is always stronger than the controversy when you choose to evolve. So here's what I want from you. Don't hide. Don't shrink. Don't let shame run your life. Shame keeps you small. It keeps you silent. It tells you you're not worthy of rebuilding. But the truth, you're worthy, not because you've done everything right, but because you're still here, still breathing, still fighting. That's enough. That's power. That's the beginning of your next chapter. Let's talk legacy. When the world looks back at your story, do you want them to say, "That's the guy who got canceled"? Or do you want them to say, "That's the one who came back when no one thought he could"? Do you want to be remembered for the controversy, or for the courage it took to rebuild from it? And let me tell you something else. The world may forget your mistake, but they'll never forget your transformation. If you do the work, if you rise with humility, if you lead with service, that's how you rewrite the narrative. That's how you take the power back. So here's the final challenge I'm putting in front of you today. Stop being defined by your darkest moment. Start being defined by your daily commitment to growth. Show up every single day as the person you're becoming, not the one you used to be. Let your story be one of resilience, responsibility, and radical reinvention. Because that's what the world needs right now. We don't need perfect heroes. We need real ones. Flawed, battle-tested, scarred, but still standing. Still moving. Still growing. That's what you can become. Starting right now. So go. Stand up. Take your power back. Build again. Lead again. Speak again. Love again. You are not your controversy. You are your comeback. Let's go.